So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dive into the biological war that's literally written in our own DNA. Then we'll pull back the curtain and see how malaria has been a hidden actor, a puppet master on the world stage. We'll confront the brutal reality of its impact today before exploring the incredible, game-changing arsenal of new technologies and strategies that are defining what we now call the big push to finally win this fight.
You have to remember, for most of human history, we had nothing. No vaccines, no medicines, no bed nets. Our only defense was evolution itself, a really brutal process of natural selection that came at a staggering cost. But it created something you could call a genetic shield.
This is basically a picture of our body's own R&D department, our genetic shield. We evolved three main lines of defense. First, you've got things like sickle cell trait, which change the shape of our red blood cells to make it harder for the parasite to replicate. Then there are enzyme disorders, like G6PD deficiency, which essentially create a hostile, toxic environment for the parasite. And finally, there are membrane variations, like Duffy negativity, which is amazing. It literally removes the doorway that one of the main malaria parasites uses to get into our red blood cells. Each of these was a heavy price to pay, a trade-off our ancestors made just to survive.
And the payoff for these incredibly costly genetic compromises, well, it was immense. Just think about this. Carrying only one copy of the sickle cell gene, what we call the heterozygous state, gives you up to 90% protection from death from the deadliest malaria parasite out there, Plasmodium falciparum. That is a colossal survival advantage, and it just goes to show you the sheer, unrelenting evolutionary pressure malaria has put on us.
Okay, so let's shift gears from our biology to our history, because malaria wasn't just a force in our evolution, it was like a silent general in our wars, a hidden actor shaping the rise and fall of entire civilizations.
And this map just lays it out so clearly. Way back in 323 BC, it's widely believed that an intermittent fever, probably malaria, is what finally stopped Alexander the Great's world-conquering campaign dead in its tracks in Babylon. For centuries after that, the so-called air of Rome, the fevers rising from the marshes around the city, acted as a shield, protecting it from invaders like the Huns and Visigoths. And then, jump forward to 1781 in Yorktown, Virginia. The British forces there had a staggering 51% casualty rate from malaria. That was a huge factor that tipped the scales in the American Revolutionary War.
And all of that brings us to today, because while we have made some incredible progress, this fight is so far from over. In fact, in many places, progress is stalled, and we're facing this really complex web of challenges that make the current global burden just immense.
The numbers right now are still hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about 282 million cases and over 600,000 deaths every single year. But the really crucial point, the one this slide hammers home, is the insane concentration of that burden. Over 95% of all malaria deaths are in Africa. And if you look at the chart, more than half of those deaths are in just 4 nations. This isn't just a health crisis, it's a profound crisis of inequity.
And malaria creates this brutal trap, a vicious cycle you can see right here. Endemic poverty means poor housing, which are perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes. That leads to more infection, which causes what economists call a growth penalty, huge losses in productivity when adults are sick, and in future potential when kids can't go to school. This grinds development to a halt, it fuels instability, and it weakens the very health systems that are supposed to fight it, trapping entire communities in a repeating cycle of disease and poverty.
And as if that wasn't enough, we're now facing 3 alarming new threats. First, biological resistance. The parasite is evolving to fight back against our best frontline drug, artemisinin. Second, invasive vectors. There's a mosquito called Anopheles stephensi, which loves urban areas, and it's spreading like wildfire across Africa. And third, climate expansion. As the world gets warmer, new zones are opening up for malaria transmission. These are threat multipliers that could wipe out decades of progress. So this is the critical point, the moment everything pivots. The very nature of the arms race has flipped. See, in the past, the fight was defined by our biological resistance, those costly passive genetic changes. But today, the fight is being defined by the parasite's biological resistance to our medicines. The trade-off is crystal clear. We can no longer afford to fight a passive biological war. Our resistance has to become active, systemic, and above all, technological. And that brings us to a brand new era in this fight. We are finally moving from being the subjects of evolution to becoming the architects of eradication. And we are armed with a paradigm-shifting arsenal of new tools and new ways of thinking. And you know, this tech revolution is happening alongside a huge strategic shift in global health. As this table shows, we're moving away from a traditional era where all the power and the data were held in donor capitals, far away from the problem. We're moving into a decolonized era. Now endemic nations are taking the lead. The interventions are high-tech and preventative, data ownership is sovereign, and the goal is real, sustainable, localized eradication and health equity. At the very heart of this new era are three revolutionary technologies. We're talking about new, highly effective vaccines like the R21/Matrix-M, which offers scalable prevention. We've got predictive AI that can use climate data to forecast outbreaks before they even start. And then there's the truly groundbreaking stuff, CRISPR gene drives, which give us active genetic control over the mosquitoes themselves.
Let's just take a second to look at gene drives, because this is a total game changer. Normally, in standard inheritance, a modified gene is passed down to only about half of the offspring, so it gets diluted pretty quickly. But as you can see here, a CRISPR-based gene drive basically cheats. It ensures nearly 100% inheritance. This means a trait we want, like sterility or an inability to carry malaria, can rapidly spread through and transform an entire mosquito population. This is no longer science fiction. Projects like Transmission Zero in Tanzania are making this a reality.
So the big question is, how do all these pieces, the new tech, the new strategies, all come together? Well, they form a single unified framework for eradication that the WHO is calling the Big Push.
And this framework just lays out the strategy so well. The key takeaway here is that there is no single silver bullet. It's not one thing. Instead, it's about four pillars all working together synergistically. You've got next-gen immunization to protect the most vulnerable people. You've active genetic vector control with tools like gene drives to control the mosquito. You use predictive AI surveillance to stay one step ahead of the disease. And, crucially, all of this is guided by decolonized leadership, empowering the nations who have suffered the most to finally lead the charge.
This really is the bottom line. For pretty much our entire existence as a species, this one parasite has dictated the terms of our survival. It has literally written itself into our DNA and shaped our civilizations. But with this new integrated big push, we are finally changing the rules of the game. We stop being reactive victims of our own biology and we start becoming proactive architects of a malaria-free future.
So we're left with this question. Is it time to finally close the book on this evolutionary arms race? The tools are here, the strategies are taking shape. The longest and by far the deadliest war in human history might actually be winnable in our lifetime. And winning it means securing a healthier, more equitable future for everyone.